join, but thank you so much for coming on the show for us.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? Like all guests, we try to unpeel their personalities as much as possible. So we'll go with the first one for you today, Anish, and we'll try and unravel a little bit about yourself and see what you have to tell us today. So go for it. Tell us about yourself. Who is Anish Lal? What makes Anish Lal the man he is? Go for it, mate.
Yeah, hopefully I can do it justice. It's a tall order, but no, I was born in India, moved to Canada when I was 2 years old. I've been here ever since. So I'm in Toronto, Canada right now. I've been in sales for just over 10 years now, and I've worked at a whole plethora of companies. So one is uh, Coca Cola. Another one is a company, more of a startup vibe. And now I work at the Weather Network. My current position is I'm a client partner. So I manage our advertising sales for our CPG, grocery, and food and beverage portfolios for the country. So I do that by.
I also have to call this out for the benefit of our audience and people who are listening to us on the podcast who are viewing us. You've always been a community leader, be it representing the Canadian Association of Business Students.
Right.
Today it's Rev Genius. Uh, what makes you a community leader, Anish? And what is it that gives you a kick that you love being a community leader?
Oh wow, you're going back in time. So yeah, I've always been a fan of seeing what volunteers want to do. Younger on, like when I was younger, like I think the Canadian Association of Business Students is almost like 7-8 years ago now.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
um, I feel like if you're on someone's payroll and you're a leader for those folks and they listen to you, like great, like you're doing your job. But if you can lead volunteers, people who aren't there because of a paycheck, they're there because of a mission or a passion or a cause, that to me is a true test of leadership. So if you can galvanize a group of folks to work towards a common goal, and they want to be there for the with their time, then that to me, like the learnings I get from a leadership perspective are astronomical. Now I can bring those leadership concepts to my day job, and I can be an even better leader, right? Because you start looking at people as human beings versus a line item as a direct report or whatever it is. So that human leadership piece is key. But overall, the work necessary, like when you see a gap in the community, right? Like
Mhm.
there's missing opportunities, there's programming missing, or people aren't getting fair opportunities, whatever it is. When you see those gaps, sometimes you can't do that at your day job. The time
Yeah.
doesn't exist. So you have to create organizations and initiatives on the side. So I think the impact that community leaders and community groups can make is paramount
Mhm.
to improving quality of life. So I've always loved I love it when people tell us, hey, this organization helped me get to X.
Yeah.
They helped me grow or get a job or improve my life or my family's happier, whatever, right? I enjoy those things selfishly. So being able to put my time towards that and then learning a load of things, I think it's really those are the two big reasons I've enjoyed being in the community for whatever I've done.
Yeah, yeah, and then besides of course, the network, the kind of people that you meet, you said, and I think, Anish, the most powerful thing that a community like, be it the Canadian Association of Business Students or Rev Genius, I think these communities, I think the biggest point that you brought in, and which is one of my most favorite, is if people are able to get jobs, if people are able to make friendships, I think there's nothing bigger than a contribution to mankind. I think it's a huge, huge thing, especially in times like these. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah,
I couldn't agree more. It's like, why else are we here, right? Like, if we're not working towards a cause, like, I mean, this is probably like a separate topic, but like, it really comes down to what is your cause, what is your mission, what do you want to work towards? It doesn't have to be a Rev Genius or something big or whatever. Are you helping others in your
yeah,
local network at work? I think we need a lot more good right now
yeah,
than
yeah,
just like we need to let the world know that not everyone's super selfish and just about me, 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 me. especially with the pandemic and every bad thing that can happen this year has happened. So I think we need communities to really, rally together and just improve the quality of life, because it's really taking a hit this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me about it, man. 2020. When is December 31st coming? Yeah.
let me know. I got to get out. We can just cancel the rest of the year and just start, January 1st tomorrow. I'm ready. Like it's just, my goodness, it's been such a crazy year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely crazy. But Anish, I also have to remind you that you are on the Spiced Up Marketing podcast, and
yeah.
I want to ask you, what is the most spiciest thing that you want to tell us? It could be about the communities that you're building, the jobs that you've been working, at, or it could be anything. But we really like to bring out the most spiciest fact about Anish to our audience today. Go for it.
Got it. So you want to know like the spiciest like marketing campaign I've seen? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah. Spices
Yeah.
marketing campaign. It could be a hit. It could be a miss. It could be a learning.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh wow. Okay. So I've got a few that come to mind. I saw one this morning actually on
Hmm.
LinkedIn. I saw the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. There's a guy named Ryan Scalera who just joined Keenan's team at the Gap Selling folks, and
Hmm.
he put together a rap video for
Okay.
Gong,
Oh.
and
Oh.
it's incredible. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is so well done. I shot him a comment afterwards too, and it's just been like what I saw him do is just no resources. He did it in his house. He had stuffed animals. Like it was so well done. And I know folks from Gong actually responded to him live in the thread, which is amazing. So that's one of the coolest things. I think people need to get a lot more creative now because of
Yeah.
COVID and how what they've got available. So this is a sales rep who's trying to get in front of Gong, selling them on Gap Selling, and he got their attention loud and clear. He actually got a lot of people's attention, so that was really cool to see. One of the other things, so I used to work at Coca Cola back in the day.
Hmm.
So the best marketing campaign that I've personally been a part of, I don't know if you remember this, but Coke did this thing called Share Coke, where they had names on the
Okay.
Coke
Yeah.
bottles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be working at Coke
Oh.
during that time,
Wow. Okay.
and I mean, Coca-Cola is just like it's like a common everyday product. It's so
Yeah.
ubiquitous, right? It's like everywhere. It's taken for granted. It's a pretty transactional
Yeah.
sale. The
Yeah.
brand is obviously huge, but
Yeah.
people day to day will look at it as soda, sugar water, whatever, right? So
Yes.
when you take something so widespread and so common and you personalize it at scale,
Hmm.
that blew my mind. And
Yeah.
the sales numbers showed, right? I mean, the brand lifted, the sales numbers lifted. People were buying Coke left, right, and center. So that to me, I think was like the spiciest marketing campaign that I've been a part of.
Yeah.
Um, and it was phenomenal to see that to see the impact that they had with that campaign. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think even Starbucks did it a few years back. I don't know if they still do it. They have your name handwritten on the cup, and they'll call you Anish. Here's your latte. I mean, to be called by your name, especially in front of so many people, and being handed over your latte, I think I would definitely take it any day, hands on. So yeah, I mean, brands are doing a fabulous job in terms of personalizing and yeah, reaching out to people. Fabulous. So
right.
thank you so much for your answer. Now I want to ask you. Anish, about the biggest challenge that you're facing in your current role at the Weather Channel. What is the biggest challenge that you're facing, and how are you overcoming it, Anish?
Yeah, so for the Weather Network, we've got a few things, right? So I'm on the advertising side. I work with marketers all day. I think the biggest thing that my marketing clients and partners are experiencing right now is there's obviously a high degree of uncertainty.
Yeah,
So it's not even so much that we don't know what the marketers want. It's actually that even our core customers strategically don't know what's happening. They don't know how to predict for a second wave or what buying behavior will be like for their customers. So that degree of uncertainty has brought a lot of challenges. Excuse me. Yeah, it's brought a lot of challenges for sure. So being able to pivot and accommodate towards that is definitely what keeps me up right now. Um, that's definitely the biggest area that my colleagues and I are experiencing. It's just that this unprecedented unknown. There's no playbook for this.
yeah,
So how we go about navigating it is definitely the challenge.
Okay. Okay. I think probably the closest that you can go to a pandemic could be maybe 100 years back when the Spanish flu was there, and probably even our grandfathers probably weren't around. But yeah, this is such so unprecedented. But I think we should be good. Maybe at the end of the year, things should definitely pick up, or maybe after the first quarter of next year. But yeah, things should definitely look up, Anish.
I hope so. I think we need a vaccine to come out and save the world, and from there we can try to get back to normal. But there's definitely going to be changes, like the way people go to business, the way
Yeah.
people work from home, the way people
Yeah.
buy through e-commerce. I mean, the list goes on. So I think COVID's really accelerated the entire e-commerce platforms across the board. So
So much,
yeah,
yeah, so much, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And talking about that, and it's interesting when you brought this up, Anish. How are you learning continuously to be on top of your job every day? I know you have awesome mentors at Rev Genius. You're meeting probably the most classiest guys out there in sales and marketing. But how are you keeping yourself up to date? How are you? What are your mantras for it?
Yeah, so when March hit, I sort of the one good thing I'll give COVID to is that gave me the opportunity to reset my perspective on life, right? And I was given the gift of time because everybody, as a salesperson, I didn't have anyone to sell to for at least a month.
Yeah,
So in that time, I chose to just really reflect on what my own gaps were, where, that's sort of what got me into the whole LinkedIn community. I started posting content and doing all that on LinkedIn because I had more time. And I started learning from like the top LinkedIn sales and marketing voices. One of the things that I recommend to lots of folks, and even for like, this is something I train myself, there's so many free webinars and content on LinkedIn and the web, so you can get caught in this constant like you're just scheduling webinar, podcast, but you're not really building in time to retain that information.
yeah,
So people are just booking things Monday to Friday, and they're like, "Hey, I'm learning so much." I remember going through my notes at the end of the week and being like, I don't even remember into my brain. So I now leave Fridays. I don't take any extra new courses on Fridays or anything like that, webinars, nothing. I use Friday as like a study and retention. So I go through my notes. What did I learn? What are the key themes? And then I sort of take it like I'm preparing for everything I learned this week. Would I ace that exam? I don't know. So that's something I've seen. Like I do attend webinars, I do attend podcasts, but I have to take it in volumes where I can actually retain.
yeah,
The second thing I'll say is what I've learned is that you need to be very mindful of the diversity in your knowledge, like where you're getting your knowledge from. So if you're learning from like, five men at all times, that's not good. In 2020, that's not good. I think if you want to be a thought leader or a modern salesperson or marketer, you need to diversify your inflow of knowledge. So I make sure I'm following, women in leadership, the Trish Bertuzzi's, the Lori Richardsons, the Nikki Ivies of the world. So I'm making sure my input of knowledge is coming in from multiple perspectives. That's definitely something I've changed about my learning style in the last couple of months for sure.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting when you brought that up, Anish. I think different people have different ways of absorbing knowledge. Your mantra is about absorbing knowledge from everywhere, from every mentor or every leader that you can see in your direction. But I was reading this a few days back. Uh, I don't remember who brought this up, but they said so for a particular skill like copywriting in marketing, or for a particular to learn a particular skill in marketing, you just look up to two people and keep following them up every day to just maybe just shadow them around the internet or social media wherever they are, and just keep tagging them along and see where they are, what they're doing, and just copy them, and see how it works for you. That's what they were saying. But it's very interesting when you brought up that you're trying to absorb everything from everybody that you can see in your direction. Fabulous. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I want to clarify that. I wouldn't say like everybody. I feel
mhm.
like if you're going to choose the 2 to 3
Yeah,
people, just make
yeah,
sure that those are a diverse perspective. Like I probably follow 5 or 6 folks
yeah,
constantly.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
and those are like that's my like
Yeah.
85-90% of where my inspiration comes from. I just want to make sure that it's not six of the same people, right? Like that's where you're going to get into trouble because you're not diversifying enough
Yeah.
or learning about different perspectives
Yeah.
of language and things like that. So, especially for copyright.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and to your point about retaining it, I think that's a fabulous thing. Not many of us are doing it. We're just consuming. We just listening to it, probably podcasting or a show or whatever it is. It's just white noise for us in the background. A lot of us just listen to it while under the shower, while reading. It's just still on, but how much of it's being absorbed? That's a very fabulous point that you brought in, where you reserving Fridays only for
Yeah.
just retaining of it. Solid point there. So yeah, so awesome. I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and I want to ask you this: if Anish, you could have a billboard uh, on a national highway, and there's traffic passing, people are watching that billboard, what would it be, and why would Anish put it up there?
So I think today, like the message I would love to communicate to everybody would probably the billboard be like a very dark tunnel and then some light at the end of that tunnel. I think everyone when they're driving, they're thinking, "Hey, I'm like I'm a sheep. I'm going to work. I'm coming back, or whatever,"
Yeah,
and everything in the world seems to be terrible right now. I just want some sort of message on hope right now, and I know that's cliche, but it just I'm so sick of the negativity and the headlines of
yeah,
just this many people died or this many cases or the fires in California or whatever, right? It's just a bad constant negativity and it brings people down. It affects their mental health. It affects a lot of things. So the billboard I'd love to see is more like dark tunnel. You're driving it right now, but at the end there's like, lots of light and you need to have that sense of hope and positivity.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're just not going to make any changes or help others or whatever it is, right? So yeah, I think we need a win for the good guys coming in.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, great thoughts there, and very noble of you to say that to our audience that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of people keep forgetting it, and I did see one of your LinkedIn posts where you spoke about this the negativity that's getting to everybody now. We've been hearing this for so long. The bushfires in Australia in the beginning of the year, and some of the accidents that have happened through. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we should be over it. Uh, so that also brings me to the next question for you, Anish, and that is, if you could turn back the time and talk to an 18-year-old Anish who's a lot younger than what he is today, what would that be? And tell us what would that be, Anish?
I tell him to save his money. I I I I partied and I put my money like into very like dumb things. Like I bought a fancy car. I'm like I look back today and I'm like I could have probably bought like two houses by now. Yeah, no, I I tell Niche save your money, be smart, more fiscally learning about things like programming and
Yeah,
data and those types of technical languages.
yeah,
I mean, I'm in, marketing technology, ad technology, sales like that. To not know the programming and how the APIs work and how
yeah,
the back end systems work and all that, like to not know the technical piece, kind of, it can get overwhelming when you learn it for the first time. So if I knew that when I was younger,
yeah,
um, I would love to have picked up on those skills today. So yeah, those are probably the big two things I'd say. Uh,
yeah.
Save your money and spend your time learning more technical things.
On that note, I still have to ask you this: do you have that fancy card with you still now, or have you sold it?
Oh, I had the worst experience with my fancy car. Unfortunately, I bought a BMW. It was the worst experience ever.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, we could spend another hour just talking about that experience. So, long story short, it's gone now. I'm in a better place, and I'm not going to be buying that car anytime soon. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So Anish, we're almost to the end of this conversation, and I have just two more questions for you. And the
Sure.
first of those questions is, what are the three things of suggestions that you tell for the people who are listening? There are going to be a lot of youngsters who are beginning their careers, who are going to listen to
Yeah.
you. You are quite successful in whatever roles you are. And I think you are a big role model for, at least I know a lot of people talk about you in India, in Chennai. I know that. So
Oh
what
wow.
are the,
Thank you.
yeah, there are a lot of people that know you here in Chennai. So what are the three things, and it could be for people in their mid careers, in their in their careers, midway into their careers, right? So what are the three things that you want to tell our community, our people who are listening to you, Anish?
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind is I see a lot of folks trying to sell on LinkedIn, and
Yeah,
just the reminder I want to give to the younger sales folks and even the marketing folks
yeah,
is that you have to remember the element. Like, this is called social selling. Please don't forget the social part. So a lot of folks will just mass message lots of folks, and it's a very
yeah,
standard template, and they go straight for the sale. They go straight for the, hi, my name's Anish. Do you want to buy something? Right? Like, immediately. And we laugh about it, but it happens so
yeah,
much. Like, the number of people who've reached out to me, it's I'm like, whoa, like, hi, my name, like the zero
yeah,
intro, zero build up, zero credibility. So if you are going to use LinkedIn or social, please remember, it's a long play. You need to build credibility. You have to build curiosity. You can't just go straight for the sale on the first invite
yeah,
and the first message. It's not the best way to do it. So that's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice, I've seen a lot of folks, especially like in our community as well, who they want to keep doing more and more and more, but um, they always ask for, and this is not just like this is in general. I'm
yeah,
seeing,
yeah,
hey Anish, what's the silver bullet to growing my brand on LinkedIn? They'll ask me questions like, how do you um, how do you close a sale so fast, or like, what's the secret? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and the truth of the matter is, you have to put in intentional time.
yeah,
So the folks that are doing it well, and I'm learning from these folks myself, so the folks who are doing it well are prepared to make sacrifices. They are
yeah,
ready to put in, they're not going to go out on the weekends and party with their friends. They're missing, family time. They're putting in time to career and skill development.
yeah,
That's what's happening behind the scenes.
yeah,
So there is no shortcut. That, everyone's asking, what's the best practice, what's the best learning. I'm like, you need to put in the time. The number of people who reach out to me on Rev Genius and say, hey Anish, I want to help, and I'm like, hey, cool, this is what I need you to do, and I don't hear from them again because they're like, I got to put in so much work. No, I'm like, this is what it takes if you want to be
yeah,
effective and grow and learn. You have to put in the time with intentional focus. So
yeah,
that's number two. Number three is, in order to do all those things, you need to know how you manage your time. So I recommend everybody who wants, like, I have a lot of folks who reach out for mentorship and like, Anish, how do I do this? The first thing I tell them is, you need to run a time audit on your life. How much time are you spending sleeping? How much time do you spend watching Netflix? How much time do you spend working? How much time do you spend learning? A lot of people don't do the learning part. They just work, they go out, they
yeah,
watch Netflix, and then repeat.
yeah,
And then you also need to combine that time audit with what is important to you. So if you're okay with a 9 to 5, just doing whatever, and you prefer that, you get most out of life with your friends, family, social, great. That's where you should spend your time. But if you want to get promoted, career development, more money, more responsibility, whatever,
yeah,
you need to put in more time to your career, and that's going to come at the expense of other things. But a lot of people don't even know where they spend their time.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so I did the exercise for myself a few months ago, and I realized I was watching way too much Netflix and
yeah,
video games. Like, I was doing way too much in that bucket. So I started taking time from there and putting it towards LinkedIn, and that's led to all of this. So
yeah.
yeah, so the time audit, and just making sure you're very aware of where you're spending your time. That would probably be the next big one.
Yeah, awesome. And to that point, Anish, there is this one point that I want to add to it, which with Jack, which I read that Jack Ma had said, and that is, the things that you do from the time that you come back from work until the next morning when you go to work will determine where you are in the next 1 year. I think it's really, I mean, I am in love
Huge,
with that quote. He's
huge.
so, yeah, it's such a meaningful thing that he said. And I'll just sum it up for our audience, whatever you said. One is the first thing that you said was about being curious, making sure that there's no silver bullet for anything. Make sure that you put in the time. The second thing that you said was about the audit. Make sure that you're auditing your time. Make sure that you're. If you feel that you are a social person, go for it, no issues. But if you want to grow, make sure that you put in the time to grow. And the third thing was, I'm sorry, I missed the third. It was the
The third thing is social. Like just remember the social piece of social selling.
yeah, yeah. So don't go for the
That you're
same.
not going direct. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And Anish, we've almost concluded this podcast. If I'm sure a lot of people are going to reach out to you, so please don't blame me for that.
No, no worries. I'm happy to.
So where can people find Anish? There are so many questions that I actually want to ask you, but I'm sure you've got a lot of calls already lined up. So where can people find you? Where are you on social media? How do people reach you?
Yeah. So if anybody has any follow-up questions, they can reach me on LinkedIn.
Sure, I'll make sure we'll make sure that we put it on the show notes here for people to reach out to you. But thank you so much. I think it's a shame that we just have 30 minutes or 40 minutes to talk to you, but there's so much that we want to talk to you. Probably we'll bring you in as a guest one more time,
Yeah,
maybe
I'd love to.
yeah, 6 months. But thank you so much for your energy and for your insights. And we really enjoyed talking to you, Anish. Thank you so much for this.
No, thanks for having me. I hope your audience likes it, and yeah, I'd love to do this again. I really enjoy talking to you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.